Mark and I start today's episode by exploring the Thailand jungle. We have a 5K walk planned in hopes to find some wildlife and maybe even a waterfall or two. Try. So we just saw some monkeys. No idea what species they are. Little black guys with white rings around their eyes and super long tails. And yeah, just heading to maybe another waterfall or so, like the next destination at this national park. So far, it's been a pretty sweet day. Guided by the sound of rushing water, we found a stream with a section big enough to swim in. This is Thailand's dry season, so normally the water would be flowing over these smooth rocks. Mark and I made ourselves at home, and soaked in the fact that we're relaxing in a whirlpool in the middle of the jungle. After hanging out for a while, Mark and I decided to jump upstream and see where the water was coming from. Knowing that we might find some streams today, I brought my snorkel gear to see what I could film underwater. After swimming downstream a little bit, the current picked up and I had to jam myself in between two rocks to avoid being pushed all the way down the stream. While I was sort of stuck there, I looked down and saw this fascinating fish. It used its mouth like a suction cup and seemed to be sucking up all the particles that were sitting on the rocks. The stream bottlenecks right here, so the force of the water rushing past me was intense. But this fish still moved so effortlessly through the current. Working on this? So yeah, we're still at Kosak National Park, just about to head home. The sun's starting to set. It's been a pretty fun day. Definitely snorkeling in the streams from the waterfalls and getting a chance to sort of climb all of these rocks. And you know, it's just so beautiful here. We're about 4 or 5 kilometers in the jungle right now, so it's time to head back. Take the tree from Avatar. So when Mark and I were here last year, we figured out the best way to get around Thailand is definitely by motorbike. The problem with riding a motorbike and being a tourist is something famously called the Thailand tattoo. And when you're traveling around, you'll see some people with full body casts on one side. Basically how it happens is they'll be riding a motorbike with no protection on, and they'll be going around a corner and they'll hit a little bit of sand on the side of the road, a little bit of sand or gravel, I guess. And the bike will slide out from underneath them and they'll give themselves basically road rash all on one side. So when Mark and I decided to bike around Thailand for 30 days only on motorbike, we definitely had to look into some sort of protection. You know, if you fall off halfway on the trip in the middle of Thailand, you know, you don't want to be spending weeks in a hospital or not being able to drive back to fly out. So through our research, we found out this G-form equipment was definitely the best for us. It's basically squishy, like when you're bending your elbow and stuff, it doesn't really feel like you have like a hard elbow pad on, but it hardens on impact. Like their slogan is protected by science. So if you were to sort of smash it against the ground, you can feel the material actually harden, and it takes away, I guess, the energy going into your elbow or any part of your body. So sort of a scary stat is about 40 people die a day in Thailand from motorbike accidents. When you look around, nobody wears any sort of protection, nobody wears helmets. So we're obviously, we get some looks with this gear on, but we're not here to hurt ourselves or come back with no skin on our arms. So when you're traveling about 85 kilometers or 90 kilometers an hour on the highway, it's nice to have some sort of protection. Mark and I spent a few days here last year and decided to come back to snorkel out to the huge pillar of rocks that are shooting straight out of the water. We decided to check out the tallest one to see if we could rock climb a section of it. We brought a camelback full of ice water and Kit Kat bars in case we wanted to stay a while. Once we got close, the rock was much bigger than we realized. Surrounding the rocks were small tropical fish and a bit of coral. It was interesting to look back and see the 5-star resorts surrounded by this wall of rock. When we got to the island, it was extremely jagged and sharp. But slowly, we were able to find our way up without cutting ourselves. The view from the rock was amazing, and we might just be the first 2 Canadians to enjoy a Kit Kat bar on this island. The most dangerous part was getting down from the island. The water was very shallow and the rocks underneath were extremely sharp. So, a backflop seemed to be the best option.
Make sure you push off from the wall.
Before we headed back, we decided to loop around the island to see what we can find. This was the most fascinating fish I've seen to date. It's about the size of a large grape, and is the goofiest looking fish with its oversized body and tiny little arms. As we swam around this pillar of rock, we saw a huge split down the middle, creating a narrow passage straight through the island. Mark climbed up to see if we could explore, but was greeted by thousands of huge red ants, so we quickly jumped back in the water. Our snorkel adventure is a day I'll remember forever. We spent almost no money and created our own fun within our surroundings. Remember, when you're planning your next trip, if you have a go-with-the-flow schedule, you don't always have to spend money to have an amazing day. Well, thanks so much for joining us for another episode. As always, the next episode will be right here in this thumbnail. If you can't click on it, it just means that we're still working on it and we will upload it shortly. If you can click on it, enjoy.
Good.